Hi everybody, welcome to the session. We'll be starting the session very shortly, so make yourself comfortable. I'll just stick something in the chat to say hello, so please feel free to use the chat. Introduce yourself and let us know where you are. Whoops, just gone too far. All right, hello everybody. My name is Del. I'm the Asia Professional Development Manager for Macmillan Education. I'm sure if you are a regular watcher of our ELTea Times, our 30-minute chat shows, you'll hopefully know me, and going to introduce you to our special guests and introduce those in a moment. So please let me know where you are. I'm in Vietnam at the moment in our office here in Ho Chi Minh City. Where are you guys? Are you local? Where are you watching from? Let me know in the chat where you are. Let me just pull up my chat box. Okay, there's Super from Shanghai. Yeah, I know that you're there, Super. Waiting in the wings, ready to start. And it's really great to see you. Anybody else? Let me know where you are so that I can know that you're here. I know we're going to start in a few more minutes before we bring in our guests, but I just want to get things going and talk to you a little bit about global skills and what we're going to be discussing today. I'm not in my usual place. I'm normally based in Bangkok, Thailand, but I'm traveling at the moment, which is really, really exciting and really great news that things seem to be moving on from those horrible last 2 years. We're now able to travel across the borders between Thailand and Vietnam, and I've had my first trip. So I've been here for nearly a week. Coming to the end of the first week, I'm here for another week. And it's been really great to be able to travel and see how Vietnam has been coping with COVID and comparing that with the situation in Thailand. Very similar in that respect. Free to move around and to wander around. Okay, thank you. The chat is disabled. Oh, so Palin, can you have a look at that and let me know why the chat is disabled? We definitely need the chat working. Now it's working. Okay, lovely. Hi, Craig. Hello from Bangkok. Okay, I wondered why nobody was talking to me. I was getting a bit waffly then, and getting a bit scared that there was nobody chatting to me. Okay, hello everybody. So lots of people coming from Thailand. Very nice to see you. From Esbak, great to see you, Michael. Taiwan, thank you very much, Diana. I hope you're all well there. Hi, Toto. Hi, Michael. Great to see you again. Yeah, too. Hello, Toto. Nice to see you, Toto. Hopefully, we'll be coming to visit you as well soon, Toto, in Jakarta, in Indonesia. Sawadee-ka, Christian. Very nice. So, yeah, as I mentioned, today is all about global skills, and we've got two wonderful participants. I'm your host. Today, we're going to talk very soon to, one moment, we're going to talk very soon to our two wonderful guests today. We've got Elaine Hodgson and we've got Super Huang, our regular chat show host and participant. There's Super, there's Elaine. Welcome, everybody. Just let me give you both an introduction so everybody knows who you are. So most of you will know Super as our regular contributor to the ELTea Times. She is the Regional Senior Academic Consultant and Teacher Trainer for Macmillan Education Asia. She has a master's degree in Applied Linguistics from the University of York. And focus was on English language teaching. So very much an expert. Welcome, Super.
Hi, Dale. Hi, Asia. Nice to see you again.
Hi, Super. And we are delighted. We are very, very privileged to have Elaine Hodgson, who you can see there. Hi, Elaine.
Hello, good morning. Thank you very much for having me in a linguist.
Oh, no, the thanks all come from our end to you for giving up your time and your, and being with us today. Elaine has over 30 years experience in English language teaching and teacher training. She is incredibly highly qualified. She is a doctor. She has a PhD in applied linguistics as well as an MA in applied linguistics. Working as a freelance consultant, a writer and editor in different segments across South America and Europe, as well as contributing to ELTea publications and blogs, and currently is working with Macmillan Education as a development editor on the secondary team. And in addition, Elaine has lots of other interests within her role. She's a member of the Diversity, Equality and Inclusion Working Group, is a volunteer for EVE, which is the Equal Voices in ELTea, and is a volunteer editor for the Raise Up ELTea project. So we are so happy and delighted to have you with us, Elaine. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Good morning to all.
So I'm going to just quickly share my screen. Give me a quick second just to tell you what we're talking about today. So we're talking about global skills and global citizenship education. And we have an agenda of questions that we're going to ask I'm going to ask our panel, our two lovely presenters. And we're going to work through these for the next 30 minutes. So make sure you've got a cup of tea. I don't have my cup of tea with me because I left my cup in Bangkok, but I do have some water, so I'm just going to be sipping water today. So we've got lots of questions. Let's get started with our first question. So the first question is about our quotes. So Elaine, would you like to begin and let us know, do you have a favorite quote about education? What does it mean to you?
Okay. Well, I love quotes. And when I was teaching, I used to use a lot of quotes. I think they can be very inspirational. And I do have not one, but let's say two quotes. One is one, I've been using for some time, which is learn everything you can from anyone you can, when you can or whenever you can. There will always be a time when you'll be grateful you did. So I think this is so important because it means that we always keep learning. It doesn't matter, what to do, what your qualifications are. It's important to keep learning, to be open. So this has everything to do with education. This quote is from actually a composer. And she was a conductor, an opera conductor. So nothing exactly like nobody exactly related to education, but, of course it is. And then there is another quote, which is something my 7th grade teacher used to say, which is knowledge doesn't take up any space. At the time I was just a kid. I didn't know that this would be so important in my life. So I like this quote because to me, it means that as teachers, we have such an important role, and we don't know what future impact we can have on our students. So yeah, I like this quote, and I tell my kids, this sentence whenever I can.
Yeah, super. Would you like to contribute your favorite quote?
Yes, thank you, Elaine, for your brilliant quotes. And I have actually prepared one from the old Chinese wisdom. It is a very old Chinese proverb from the Han Dynasty. It sounds like a tongue twister in Chinese. I will go through it really quick, okay? 授人以鱼不如授人以渔, which means if you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. But if you teach him how to fish, you will feed him for a lifetime, which is which I find very similar, like quotes from the Western, which is by Maimonides, a Jewish philosopher. So I find this quote really, really similar from no matter from the Western or the Eastern culture. And I really agree and resonate with it as a teacher, because we all understand we need to teach our students how to fish, not only giving them fish, but it's really challenging to do so. And there are so many difficulties ahead of teachers to do so. So in today's session, I think we're also going to discuss how to teach our students to fish in this globalized world.
Nice, right? Very, very nice. Yeah, lovely quotes. Yeah, I going back to your first quote, Elaine, I think you really live that quote as well, don't you? With your, we mentioned your qualifications at the start of the session, and yeah, to see that you've had a lifelong journey with studying and learning, and I think that's really great to see. And yeah, and super, that quote is a famous quote, but one that we shouldn't forget, right? It is very, very true. We've got a couple of quotes in the chat. Don't forget, if you're posting in the chat, to post to everyone, because Shubham, you posted just to the host and panelists, so I'll read it out. To break the rules, you must first master them. And I quite like that, that's nice. And learning in a fun way makes you learn faster and remember longer. And I like that one too. It's always fun to make up your own quotes as well. Why not try and start your own quotes and get them, stick them somewhere? Maybe someone will actually we'll tell somebody else your quote and it might get used. And thank you, Christine. Yes, tell me and I forget, teach me and I remember, involve me and I learn. So yeah, I'm involving you. Put your quotes in the chat if you want to. All right, let's move on to our first juicy question, which is all about GCE, Global Citizenship Education. So what does Global Citizen Education mean to you? So Super, do you want to just see if you can succinctly answer that question?
Yes. So for me, I think as an English teacher, global citizenship education means that I am not only teaching the language itself to my students, but also to provide them with opportunities and opening a gate for them to speak to the diverse global community out there, and also to see and understand the wild world out there better, and also to get involved and make a difference in different kinds of maybe global issues and global challenges to become a real global citizen. So from a teacher's perspective, as an English teacher, it is what I see, how global citizenship has something to do with myself.
Okay, and Elaine, would you like to add to that?
Yeah, to me, it means, the future, a better path for the future. Well, talking about globalization is not new, but, we all know that being connected the way we are today via technology makes this even more important. So, yeah, I would say if I had to summarize it, I would say it's a better path, to the future. And
Sibyl, you kind of mentioned that we're not just teaching English anymore, but what would you say to teachers who maybe feel like there's too much to teach? So, for example, if I'm teaching English, it's hard enough to teach grammar and vocabulary and the 4 skills, and now I have to teach global citizenship education as well. What would you say to teachers who would say that?
I think we can think from this perspective. First of all, when we are teaching the language, we're already bridging the gap, and we're already leading the students to that direction. So by only teaching that language, you're already taking the first step. And also, when we're teaching the language, you will find the students may be a little bit struggling with the grammar, with the vocabulary. So we need to provide more content and context for the students when they learn the language. So some global issues, global perspectives or cultures can provide that kind of context and content to make your teaching maybe a little bit more interesting and more engaging for the students.
Okay, so you would say that this kind of, so GCE, Global Citizenship Education, is more using English as a tool to teach that content rather than it being something else that needs to be taught?
We can integrate. Yeah, that's what we are going to
Okay.
discuss later. We can integrate the language with GCE and to
Okay.
make both of them work in the classroom.
Oh, sorry. Maybe I'm jumping ahead of the agenda, then. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
Elaine, would you like to just add anything to that about?
Yeah, I was going to. Yeah, I totally agree with Super. I think she, just said basically everything. And one advantage I think I see, in English, not only in any language, but English being a language for international communication. Yeah. We can use to talk, we can use English to talk about anything. So, all global issues, all things that are interesting for people. And this is how we engage students. So somebody mentioned in a quote about engagement or I can't remember, like involve me or something like that. Yeah, it's a famous quote, but I won't remember it now. So it's a way of engaging people. Yeah, that's why it's so important.
Okay. Well, I guess that kind of leads on to the next question. Maybe, Elaine, you could talk maybe further about that, because my next question, I know you kind of touched on it, but why is global citizenship education necessary? So I guess this is in the nuts and bolts of what it's about, but why should we be teaching it? Why this and why not, I don't know, something else?
Yeah. Because, we talked a little bit about globalization. It's not new. The concept is not new at all. But, technology made it even more possible for us to be connected. And, I think the pandemic made that really, really evident. We are connected so very easily now. So you see, like, I'm from Brazil. I now work in the UK. I work with people from all over the world. I'm talking to Macmillan Asia. So I think this is just wonderful, that we can connect and learn about and learn with so many different people. So I think, like this interconnectivity is what makes life so interesting, and it's what makes teaching so interesting and relevant.
Yeah, that's interesting. Super, could you add to that?
Yeah, exactly. Because this is the real world that we are living in right now. So I think education should really reflect what the students are going to face in their real life in the future. So global citizenship education is the way how we could put our students into the world that they're going to face. And I think it's time. Yeah, we have been doing something like global citizenship education for a while, but maybe the concept, the idea has been maybe proposed recently. And there is now a very systematic structure and a framework for us to refer to. And we can make global citizenship education more consistent, and we can follow that framework to implement, the skills, the knowledge, and also the attitudes for our students to learn and develop. And I think as a result, our students are going to benefit from that. It will have positive impacts on them, not only to survive, but also to thrive, as we always say, and to become maybe change makers, to change maybe not only their maybe own life as an individual, but also to the community they live, to the wider world around them as well.
Yeah, I think
may I just quote somebody else? I would like to quote a colleague on that, Mariela Hill, who's a publisher for primary. In one of the meetings, she said that without it, we become irrelevant. So I think this is very impactful. So global education, like citizenship, it's really essential for any educator and for any student.
Yeah, very nice. And going back to what you said, Elaine, about, you come from Brazil, you live in the UK, in Cambridge, right?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, so you live in Cambridge, but you work in London. And you're now talking to me, and I'm from the UK, but I live in Bangkok. I'm now in Vietnam. And we're talking to Super, who's from Shanghai, who's in Shanghai at the moment, who studied in the UK, and is now using English as a medium within the organization that we work for. So I think us three are really living Global Citizenship Education out, but there's still so much to learn and still much to develop. And it's really nice to have these conversations and take it further. All right, so if we think about being global and using technology for that, can we also think more local in that respect? So if we think about problems that we might have and how we overcome those problems, I'd be really interested to ask this question here, just so that we can maybe refer to global problems with the local needs and then get engaged learners. All right,
Okay.
so I can't remember whose turn it is. I think it's Elaine's turn. Is that right?
Yeah.
I think it's super.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Is it Super's turn?
I don't
can't
know.
remember.
Yes, it's okay.
Go on then. Let's go, Super. What do you think, Super?
I think now there are a lot of things we when we watch the news, when we read about the newspapers, I think there are so many issues that are both local and global. But if we give our students the opportunities to identify the connections between these global and the local issues, we probably need to provide support. Yeah, they are not maybe cognitively developed to understand and to recognize. So I think it is very important for teachers like us to localize or personalize the global issues, yeah, with local examples, especially if we're from the same place with our students. We know our students' background, but at the same time, we know the global better than our students. So we need to, play a role in the localization of the global issues to make our students understand. And also, it's very important to make it age appropriate. Yeah, I think for pre-primary, primary, secondary, and adult, we need to level the issues we introduce to our students, and also level the activities we do with our students about those global and local issues. For example, for pre-primary and primary, we may want just to expose our students to the issues and let them know and develop some awareness. And from secondary, gradually moving up, we probably want them to analyze and evaluate and to share their ideas towards more complicated issues. So as the students intelligence and cognition develops, they will gradually build up the skills and knowledge towards those global and local issues. So as the teacher, we play that very crucial role in bridging the gap.
All right, we're gonna talk a little bit about how we can do that as well in the next question, how we can promote it. But let's get back to more so Elaine, maybe you can talk to what is a local and global problem, and how do we engage them?
Yeah, I agree with Super, and I think there is not only one answer for that. It does depend on your context. It depends on your students, on your communities. So that's why it's important to keep your eyes open, and to keep your heart open to what's going on. So yeah, I think it depends, but there are some things that can be, they are probably quite common everywhere, like gender equality, for example, or the environment. Just very few people would deny today that, looking after the environment is really important. And it's not only a global thing, it's a local thing. And I say that because the term global can feel a little overwhelming, I think, for teachers and for students, because when you hear the word global, you can kind of feel that, okay, it's so global, and it's only me, I can't do anything. And this is not the case, because it's everybody's contribution. So it has everything to do with citizenship. So that's why it's important, I think, to listen and to be aware about what's going on in your community.
Yeah, that is definitely a challenge, isn't it? When people tell us to, obviously let's go for a basic example such as recycling, and really if I put my plastic bottle in the correct bin, you know, what does that achieve if we're thinking about the global citizenship and the global effect of that? And I think personally that we do need to localize these global problems, and then, as Super said, raise awareness of how that these little things do actually add up and have an effect. And we can see, I mean, the last week in the UK and in Europe, you know, there's been problems with the and you've experienced it, right, Super, in Shanghai, you know, and seasonal, really. Well, I know it's the summer in the Europe, but really amazing temperatures there. That, you know, all these things to consider, and we can raise awareness, do lessons around that, I suppose. Anyway, that comes to sort of the next question, and we're going quite well, and we've got about 10 minutes, well, about 8 minutes to discuss this one. But I think it's the most important question because it does relate to our audience the most, and it's all about ideas that we can support teachers with. So take your time with this one and give us as many ideas as you can to support. So what can teachers do in the classrooms to promote and to teach global citizenship education to their learners? What do you think? So Elaine, this is yours.
Yeah, okay. I think I'll start, you know, with an example related to gender equality. Yeah, and this works for, I think, for many different levels. It can work for primary, secondary, adults. If you have your students, let's say, for example, analyze the photographs that they see in their books, and not only English books, you know, any kind of book they use. How are women depicted in these photographs? Do they always have traditional roles? Do you see women like in empowering situations? Are they shown in a positive way? Are there, you know, like different like body types, for example, or do you always see the same thing? So it has to do with stereotypes, for example. So I think this helps raise awareness. You know, students can also talk, you know, like about women they admire, not, you know, like looking into like famous people, but, you know, maybe they admire a friend, their mother, an aunt, I don't know, a teacher. So I think this promotes, you know, more awareness about gender equality, for example. The same thing with the environment, you know, like if you look at your books, and again, not only your English book, any book you use, you know, how is the environment shown? Is it like these like impossible things that we can't achieve? Or do we look at it locally, like, you know, what did you do, as you mentioned, so to protect about, you know, like recycling, for example, or keeping a plant at home and looking after it. So these kinds of things that can be like simple and connected to students' reality. And also, you know, I would say that nowadays, lots of ELT materials, they have activities that promote this critical thinking, you know, like this positive questioning. So it's not critical in the sense of criticizing, but of being, you know, like of understanding, of questioning yourself, and you know, like read between the lines in a way.
Yeah. I think that's really important in today's culture with fake news, and having those skills and then linking them to what you were discussing is really important. Super, do you want to add to that?
Yes, so yeah, I totally agree with Elaine's examples. Yeah, those like topics, those environmental or gender or job topics that we already have in our textbooks. A lot of ELT textbooks we use are based around those like general or common topics we usually teach, but those topics are really relevant to global citizenship education already. So what I suggest teachers to do in the classroom is to keep doing what you are doing right now, but just take one more thought about it, which can relate to global citizenship education. So for example, for all those like units, all those reading and listening text we have in the ELT books, we can think about the global citizenship education behind those topics, and ask your students to think about the local and global maybe connections on these topics, and think about, reflect on their own behaviors. For example, if they do something in their daily life, what's going to be the consequences behind their behaviors, for example, environment. And also when we do the discussions, the role plays, when we develop those interactive, communicative like activities in your classroom, we can always talk about those global citizenship education like issues and challenges. Yeah, this is what we already have. And also if we have projects in our textbooks, they are the best place where you can ask your students to develop their skills and knowledge, and also put their knowledge and skills into actions. Yeah, we will maybe design a project like a leaflet to promote their environmental protection like ideas, or we maybe record a video to tell others about how to save water. So these projects can be where you can put the skills and knowledge into action. This is quite key as well. Yeah, we want the students not only to passively receive those knowledge and skill, but also to actively, to do something, to take actions, to feel that kind of influence.
I like that. I like moving sort of on a scale of awareness to action is really, it's really nice, and you can really clearly see that. Like you were saying, with primary students who might not have that cognition at the moment to action things, you can make them aware, like Elaine said, with our materials, and then actually as they become more aware of issues, then they can actually start applying things and actioning them. Like, I really like the idea about keeping a plant. There's so much to that. There's so much going on with that in terms of nurturing it and making sure it's healthy and giving it water. You sort of apply sort of metaphors to your own life at the same time.
Yeah. May I just add something?
Please do,
something that I hear sometimes, like teachers say that, okay, but I teach English. It's like not my responsibility to deal with these issues. But the thing is, though, it's our responsibility as citizens, I would say. And this is done via English. So it's not that we are substituting the teaching of English with something else. We are using English to engage students with things that are so relevant in their lives. And so I think, this is so, there is no argument against that, because, we think we know English is important in the context of communication. So that's why people want to study English. Yeah,
I agree. I think it doesn't mention English in the actual acronym, right? GCE is Global Citizenship Education. It's not just limited to English. But I like to look at the opportunity that it gives us to add more content. So if anybody's teaching CLIL, Content Language Integrated Learning, this is a great way that you can let the content drive the language, rather than what normally happens is the language would drive the content. And it's a nice way to get out of that. I find students are much more engaged in content language integrated learning as well. So this is a way of developing that as well. Super.
Yes.
Have you got any final thoughts before we wrap up?
Yes, I just want to give teachers a tool from Macmillan Education. So I know we already have some textbooks, right? And the content is really relevant already, but maybe you want to make connections between those course books to GCE. So Macmillan Education has developed a GCE framework in a program called Advancing Futures. So we can share the link in the chat box for teachers to access to that website and download the framework, and also participate into our Advancing Future projects. Yes. So with that framework, I think it is easier for teachers to plan your lessons based on some GCE systems and frameworks, and connect what you are teaching with this global framework.
And Elaine, would you like to have the final say?
Yeah, no, I would like to to thank you and thank all the teachers, for the invitation. And one thing I wanted to say to teachers, that learn about the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, because I think this is a very good way to start and like to understand a little bit more about the topics that are so connected to SDGs.
Yeah, thank you. And just to, I was showing you this white paper when Super was talking. If you click on the link in the chat, you can have access to this white paper, which is all about global citizenship education in the ELT classroom practice. So it's directly linked to what you're doing in your teaching, and you can find out lots of information, lots of statistics to support the what we're trying to do. So I hope you've enjoyed today's session. I hope to see you again next month for another ELTea Time chat show, where we will have, where me and Super will be here. We'll have another special guest. I just want to finish by saying a huge thank you to Elaine. You've been wonderful. You've brought lots of expertise, lots of knowledge. Super as well, of course, you always do. But Elaine, thank you so much for giving up your time. And I believe you're going on holiday next week. So have a lovely holiday and relax and enjoy yourself.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Elaine. Thanks, everybody. Everybody take care.
Thank you very much. See you
safe.
next
Bye.
time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Mm.